Currently 5:48 on June 27, 2024, and I have a few things that I'm going to review for purposes of showing you, comparing, juxtaposing, if you will, crime scenes and recognizing a pattern, not only with regard to the environment, but the behavior of the entity in that specific environment, which is simultaneously exposing demonic activity and the demon possession of those in that demonic environment who are group stalking. This is a criminal system underway by the state of California in concert with the population, the constituents of the state. The people of the state is how they will be legally referred to when they're prosecuted in federal court. So it's 5:48 p.m. when I'm starting this video. This is relevant to what I documented on this day in 2022, where the entity is group stalking and doing so by engaging in what is criminal summoning. Now, if you recall, the entity engaged in criminal summoning on June 16, 2022 at the Ovid Family Community Library, while I am fully engaged in lawful conduct that is enforcing my rights, and also, not even more than that, I am engaged in what is nothing other than using my communication device, documenting the pattern of conduct that is criminal and that is maliciously underway, that has yet to be exposed, that the government is engaging in, and the government is at every turn seeking to obstruct justice in concert with the puppets of the state and puppets of Satan at the same time, engaging in criminal obstruction of justice by criminal summoning. That is the psychopath's pattern of feigning that you're calling the police, that the police are not already demon-possessed group stalkers, that they don't already know who I am, where I'm at, what I'm doing on a communication device, and what I'm doing physically, and that you are calling them, that they're learning information, and that you're in violation of any law. Okay, this is what the entity, that's called criminal summoning, and it is the malicious system whereby the government that is group stalking you, this is the state that wants to keep you under surveillance directly, but they have to do it through a means of some sort of appearance of executing their duties. And so you are arriving to engage in criminal conduct while you're wearing a badge. You go to federal prison for that. And I'm documenting the Chino Police Department engaging in criminal summoning with the people of the state, and it is in the specific environment, which again, juxtaposing the crime scenes. LAPD is fully engaged in terrorism. That's what Dominic Choi is engaging in. Dominic Choi is fully aware of the pattern that he is engaging in concert with the the demon-possessed police department, Chino Police, and the same demonic environment. They are fully aware of the pattern that they are sharing while they're engaging in what was a secret system of surveillance. And this pattern of conduct, it's built in. Obstruction of justice is built in. The government that's engaged in criminal conduct engages in more criminal conduct to cover it up and silence that person, that targeted individual, and it does so very easily while it's in the shoes abusing its position as the government. So that's what I'm showing you, and this is again the groundwork for what are very serious federal offenses that the people of the state are going to serve substantial time in federal prison for, while I am showing you all of the iterations of obstruction, all of the iterations of the pattern of conduct, all of which is done vicariously on behalf of the state that is an established stalker and a demon-possessed one. So at 5:48 p.m., I'm capturing the specific environment while I'm at the Chino Branch Library, where, by the way, even before 5:48 p.m., I showed you what was happening at 12 o'clock in the afternoon today, while I am standing at the Chino Branch. I'm at the Chino Branch Library at 5:48. That's where I travel to. I get on the bus at approximately 12:04 p.m. I showed you what's over my head here in Los Angeles, and this is not the sun that will be in this position over me in Ontario at the intersection of Holt Boulevard and Euclid Avenue. By the way, this is the same intersection that I heavily document every day while I was sleeping outside at the museum, and at 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, this so-called sun was in this same position, rising, I put that in air quotes, in alignment to me, right over the museum, not just over the museum, but over the side of the museum where I'm at. Very specific, very precise with the placement of this light source, and keeping it over me all day long. That's how I'm able to capture what is in the middle of the day in its zenith over the top of my head, which you saw is shared with the environment here in Los Angeles, as I documented that light source in its zenith over me here at the Ovid Family, here at the Alvarado Gardens Apartments, which I documented while I was capturing substantial video today. So this is what I'm capturing, and the entity is engaged in criminal summoning because they're reviewing what I review on my phone. So these demons are already waiting. Okay, they know what I'm grabbing my phone. They know what I'm looking at on my phone. They know what I'm preparing to document because they are accustomed to how I expose them, and they are literally stalkers, and they're literally behind. By the way, Satan is the tail, not the head. There's spiritual truths here going on, but they're literally following as they're learning how I'm exposing them. So they're anticipating what I'm about to reveal review what I'm about to capture, and that is the light source that's in its zenith over my head as I'm showing at 12 o'clock and speaking to what's not possibly the sun, while I am at the same time. I got the light source, hold on, let me see, precisely at 12 p.m. I stepped outside of my office on purpose to capture that. So let me get that. Yeah, I walked around the office so that you could see it through the windshields of the vehicles. Speaking to, again, why am I doing that? Because there's no mistaking. There's no sun that's over 150 East Holt Boulevard, San Bernardino County building in Ontario at Euclid and Holt, while you can see through the windshield of a third party's vehicle at Alvarado Gardens in LA. It's through the back windshield. That back windshield is facing the hillside. While I'm facing that windshield, it's not even over Alvarado Street. It's not over the 2 freeway. It's not over the opposite hillside on the opposite side of Glendale Boulevard. It's not over Arco. It's not over the DMV in Glendale. It's not over Ovid Family Community Library in Ontario. It's directly over me in the same manner where you're looking at this light source through the rear windshield of the license plate of the third party parked outside of my leasing office at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And the entity that's monitoring me on the venue of the internet in violation of Title 18 is fully aware of that. And that's why I was able to document the ongoing systematic means of monitoring and harassment, terrorism, while they're all engaged in federal stalking, but specifically what I documented was criminal summoning that's occurring at the same time. This is pursuant to what is surveillance on the venue of the internet. All right, while they are keeping me under surveillance online via communication devices, aware of the ways in which I'm exposing their demon possession, the demonic environment, which is informing the world about what Satan is doing, the reality of Satan and demon possession and demonic activity, and how it is manifesting itself through the criminal conduct, the public corruption in the United States of the government that's engaging in surveillance, which is criminal. It's unconstitutional in this country. So the entity is maintaining this light source over me. As I pointed this out earlier today, that's the same thing that's going on day after day into the evening. And so in accordance, the entity is maintaining the light source, and this is exactly what I'm documenting while the entity is maintaining that light source. And I go through the entity that's maintaining the specific environment while the people of the state are just group stalking. And you're looking at this light source that's over me while I am walking out of my office. This is captured at 3:18 this afternoon while I'm capturing the people of the state. The light source moves to be over me at the same entrance where I'm at. Remember the video that I pointed out to you regarding June 5th when I went to the DMV, and the light source is over me coming from the DMV to Alvarado Gardens. But today, while I'm staying at Alvarado Gardens, meaning I never left, you have the impossible occurrence that the sun is remaining stationary while at the same time documentation captured which is supposedly the natural environment, but yet the sun is keeping in stride with me for the duration of my travel from an entirely distinct location, and that light source is keeping in step with me as I document. That's capturing the impossible, and who is stalking in that environment are the demon possessed. That just so happens to be blowing the whistle on the government that's engaging in criminal surveillance, a heavily documented pattern of terrorism, group stalking, and helicopters. And that was the video documentation that I captured. Very much another day of capturing this criminal system. So nonetheless, at 5 p.m., you have the people of the state. This is Carlo Lopez. This is documentation not just of Carlo Lopez. This is documentation and the prosecution of speaker companies. You can see the light source on his vehicle. The reflection of the light source on his vehicle. This is plain light activity, relevant positioning conduct. This is the P.O.C. and it's present at 5:03. This third party is group stalking when I'm walking from my apartment. All of an entity is keeping me under surveillance while I do that, and he is group stalking in the same environment, doing so under the guise of being an employee, which is a demon-possessed third party, for a company, which is a corrupt, illegitimate third party company that is facilitating the state's criminal system. This is how you're able to be subject to remain, this is how you're capable of remaining subject to the state's pattern of conduct, where there is no distinction, there's no pause, there's nobody, in other words, stopping or disabling the state's ability to continuously stalk you by helicopter, where there's no absence of the light source pursuant to the same P.O.C. You don't have the occurrence where there's people that are not abiding by an identical pattern of conduct that just so happens to always facilitate the demonic behaviors occurring in that demonic environment with the demons that are stalking in helicopters and police vehicles and fire trucks and ambulances. No, you have an ongoing, ceaseless, cyclical, seamless system. All right. And this is occurring in the workplace. This is exposing and prosecuting, for example, like I will state again, Heather Till, who's going to federal prison. All right. This is the people of the state representing a company. The company, speaker companies, is the people of the state. And this is group stalking in the workplace. And this is also the picture of malice, This is the picture of impunity, because the entity that's group stalking is also aware of every item of evidence that's being accumulated on my communication device where they're engaged in criminal surveillance in violation of Title 18, Sections 22618, subsections 1 and 2. All right, that's relevant and independent basis, by the way, for federal prison for this third party and everybody else that I'm documenting, but regarding the people of the state and the government itself that's engaged in criminal surveillance in violation of federal law. The government is a criminal. So want to point that out. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. And while I am walking out of my office, you're looking at what is the demonic pattern, stalking with methods of light. The demon, Tiffany Sherez, is stalking with her hazard lights on. Remember, the fake sun is over the property. That's providing context to the condition and the criminal system and the intention to do so. Tiffany Sherez's minor daughter is group stalking in the path. She is means of presence in the path, while there is an adult age group stalker in this vehicle with the hazard lights on. This is very demonic, what you're looking at right here. And the entity is doing so as an act of hostility. And so I'm going to show you the the various communications of a threat to my life, and which is terrorism by this demon-possessed entity that is hostile, and it is communicated on behalf of the whole government in the same way that the entity flying around in circles and obsessively stalking and terrorizing and harassing in helicopters is a threat communicated by the whole entity. Understand, the demons that are the people of the state are engaging in this iteration of that threat to my life, safety, well-being, and liberty, and the entity that's documented group stalking and helicopters and engaging in criminal summoning are communicating a threat, engaging in harassment and terrorism, a threat to my life, physical safety, overall well-being, and liberty, while doing so directly. Okay, the people represent vicarious action. The state is engaging in direct action. It's state action under both circumstances. So this is the light source that's over me, and as I walk outside of my office, and I'm getting to what I'm going to show you at 5:48 p.m. So bear with me, because I'm getting up to what the entity is doing in an entirely different region, while I'm showing you what is on its face: federal prison for federal group stalking and monitoring, and prosecution for federal stalking in violation of Title 18. And then I'm in my apartment, and the light source is still here. And there's evidence speaking to not only is this the P.O.C. because the light source is still here in Alvarado Gardens, there's no point ever that it could even be the sun under any other circumstances as well, because it's remaining over me while I'm at the same time at 5:48 p.m. at the end of the day. The light source is in alignment with me while I am in two different places, which I will show you, and you will also see the pattern of stalking in helicopters at these two distinct places. And you are looking at the pattern that Dominic Choi and the demon-possessed LAPD are exhibiting when you're seeing them stalking in the specific environment with helicopters, engaging in what is a pattern of criminal summoning, which the Ontario Police Department are documented engaging in, and what the demon-possessed terrorist organization, the Chino Police Department, in the specific environment, which is not in alignment with my bedroom window. Okay, where there's no shared suns, there's no vantage point where you can see the light source through the windshields of the vehicles parked at this property. There's no sun that's over the Chino Branch Library. There's no sun also that will be still at that Chino Branch Library when I'm there from 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 10 o'clock in the morning, and I step out at 5:48 p.m., which is why I started this video at that time. Okay, so this is speaking to the P.O.C. that Carla Lopez is engaging in. On the opposite side of this building are the people of the state who are group stalking, while he is over here, and I'm having a conversation, chit-chatting, yeah, great, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, and he's monitoring me, all right, and doing so maliciously, while aware of the fact this is a psychopath. This is speaking to the public safety concern, the one that will stab you in the stomach while reaching out to give you a hug and twist the knife, because that's how much they are harboring hatred for you. All right, this is a threat to your life while you're subject to terrorism by the state, the American government, who has no legitimate basis to do so, exhibiting an ongoing intention and purpose to target you for no reason, while engaging in bearing weapons and stalking in helicopters and doing so in fire trucks and whatnot. This is a threat to your life while a whole population is engaging in this targeting system. While it's occurring in the workplace, you're doing so in concert with the people of the state that live at the property. This is what Speaker Companies is engaging in, and they are doing so in concert with the people that live at the property. Heather Till's going to federal prison. Understand that. All right? These are the people of the state that they are referencing. The people of the state and Speaker Companies are group stalking with the state that is heavily stalking me in the workplace. Heather Till's going to federal prison. I cannot state it enough. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and on the opposite side of the leasing office He's group stalking with the people of the state who are maintaining light activity, stalking with minor children, which is the P.O.C, stalking with the demons that are driving up and down Alvarado Street and engineered lights ricocheting, which I capture, well, I narrate it in video. And this is the license plate of the third party who's group stalking with Tiffany Sherez's daughter, license 9LVR518. She's engaging in what is stalking in the path with her hazard lights. It's light activity and it's a criminal act. It's facilitation, and it's group stalking. It's light activity creation. And it's also federal stalking on the venue of the internet. And you're also exhibiting impunity and malice. And you're group stalking with a minor child, literally on camera. You're talking about multiple bases for going to federal prison. And this is what the entity is just doing as a whole population, just engaging in the criminal conduct, just in plain view. Okay? This is what they will be tearful about in federal court. Okay, so the entity is capturing, this is when I start the video. And this is what I'm referring to.
Engineered light.
This is demonic pacing while they're driving up Alvarado Street. This is the same entrance where I am present at June 5th coming from the DMV, remember. And at 9:36, the light source is over my head at this entrance. It is 5:04 to 5:10 when I'm capturing this video, and the light source is over me at this same entrance. You know on its face that this is demonic activity, this is terrorism, and also you're going to see speaker companies crossing path in the form of Carla Lopez and terrorizing me via directed light, which is the outward demonstration of demon possession. It is no naturally occurring light activity. Okay, he's going to federal prison, and so is Heather.
Light moving across the mailbox while that third party stalks in the path with Tiffany Sherez. This is indeed the P.O.C.
This is literally the same location where I'm getting out of the Uber on June 5th, 2024, and the light source that I showed you in the screen recording this morning. This is where I get out of the car, and the light source is directly over my head. This is capturing that phenomenon while the people of the state are exhibiting their hostility, stalking the path with engineer light, which is what this third party does. Engineer light moves across these mailboxes. That's a demon that's driving off and expressing their hostility. Oh, I hate you. I can't stand you. Engineer light's moving all across. This is the communication. This is essentially what's going on in the spirit. All right. I'm just giving context, but I will prosecute because with the documentation of directed light, which everybody can see, this is not based on my spiritual discernment. Okay. This is applying a legal skill set to what, yes, I have spiritually discerned, and I will prosecute you with that which you can see and feel and hear. And so it's terrorism while you are exhibiting a pattern of conduct that is on its face terrorizing to an American citizen, and it is done in concert, in sync with a government that's following and pursuing and engaging in surveillance with helicopters, engaging in what is kidnapping while they're making up charges against you, making up information about you, and seeking to harass you, including in the workplace, including by those that are in the workplace. And while I live and work at the same location, by everybody that works there, everybody that comes onto the grounds is engaging in that. I will prosecute you for your demonic behavior. It's terrorism on its face, and in substance, it's terrorism. Excuse me. So the entity is engaging in this. Is what she's doing when she's crossing path.
Onto the ground engaging in terrorism.
And I'm at the same entrance where I'm at June 5th, 2024. Remember the evidence.
Federal prison. Okay. Just a whole bunch of passive-aggressive demons just driving by while an employee, a co-worker that knows that they're being documented.
So I want you to see that light source again. This is over the top of my head. There it is. Over the top of my head while I am at the entrance of the same apartment complex where I drove to. At 9:36 coming up Clifford, and I went through that video. We dissected that this morning for like the third time. I've used that on many examples. So this is the P.O.C. on its face. That third party, what I want to point out, engages in terrorism via directed light.
That knows exactly.
And this is what Carla Lopez, an employee of speaker companies, and legally speaking, this is a third party, a demon-possessed group stalker. This is terrorism in the workplace. Also engaging in what is terrorism via directed light. That is the admission by a demon that they are group stalking you, and you are group stalking in the shoes of the state. You're not just group stalking for funsies by yourself. That's the state that's acting vicariously through Carla Lopez. Carla Lopez is acting in the shoes of also a third-party company whose pockets I'm going to drain, and the corporate office is going to federal prison. Okay, they're engaged in federal stalking also at the same time. While crossing path under that which is not even the sun, light activity is coexisting with this criminal conduct of crossing path in the specific environment, not a legitimate work site.
Talking about engineered lights moving on the asphalt.
Okay, so I want you to see that again. First of all, it's engineered light. This is a radiant engineered light. And this is, again, remember, I'm showing you evidence of what is a light source. That's an entirely different region. This has nothing to do with the sun. It has nothing to do with sunlight. This is the ability to show light manifesting in the shade. This is the ability for light to just appear on my walls, appearing and disappearing. This is the outward demonstration of demon possession. And it's a show of hostility by a demon who knows that they're being exposed. And demons have the inability to control themselves. I'm speaking to the public safety concern by this population that is currently engaging in this lawlessness and increasing in aggression, increasing in hostility. And you also see that exhibited through the helicopter activity flying directly over the top of my head while I am speaking to the terrorism that the United States is engaging in, and doing so to me, and I'm an American citizen. And so it also logically follows that this is what they are doing across the seas to other nations, to other peoples in other countries. So the entity flies over my head by helicopter, and I'm at the same property right now at 5 p.m., which is not possibly the sun, nor is the sunlight, while it is appearing, pay attention, this engineer light is appearing in front and to the side of the vehicle in the shade. So while, let me slow it down because I just want to make sure you can, this engineer light that's appearing beside the car, it's appearing in front of the car. This is entirely demonic. It's impossible light activity. It's going in all manner of direction and doing so while it's driving, while this third party is driving in the engineer light, and then you have additional layer of engineer light that's coexisting with this crossing path. And in addition, the shadow of the vehicle is driving through engineer light. So this is very peculiar light activity, and you have to pay attention in order. The engineer light is appearing on top of the so-called sunlight. None of this is sunlight. Okay, this is layers and layers of engineer light that they're driving in. The engineer light is also appearing over the so-called sunlight. The shadow of the vehicle, you can see the shadow of the vehicle travels behind the car, and it's passing over the engineer light that he's driving on. This is all manner of light activity creation. This is group stalking. Okay, and I just want to be clear. This is Carla Lopez. This is Speaker of Companies. Heather Till's going to federal prison. Okay, this is the entity engaging in group stalking in the workplace. And this is a passive-aggressive terrorist. This is the light source that you can see through the reflection on the vehicle. Has nothing to do with the sun. The sun would never be in the position where it's still at the same entrance where I'm present at 9:30 in the morning. I'm at the same property walking down. This is where the sunrise is occurring. This is where I'm walking down from my office at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he's group stalking with his back to me. He's a coward. He's a terrorist. He's a demon-possessed group stalker, and he is a violent criminal. A threat not only to himself, but he's a threat to the American public. And this is just the truth based on the lawlessness that he's exhibiting. And the demon-possessed cannot bear to hear this truth that they're engaging in about themselves, but this is based on their own behavior. They are doing it. I am analyzing and prosecuting it. I do not have to be hyperbolic about anything. I am also giving you context of a spiritual nature. And you should know that the deranged mindset is that which you can also deduce from the demonic light activity through the light source that's remaining over me all day. None of this is a natural environment. And you are also made thereby aware of the demon possession and the deranged mindset of those who are group stalking in this environment. It's not a secret. I'm giving you the context so that you are aware to see the invisible. They don't want you to know about their deranged mindset. They don't want you to know about the fact that they're stalking and they're obsessed with you. They don't want you to know that. But while you expose it, they engage in exhibiting it while doing more of it. That's not the answer. That's not the response of a sane, normal, non-demon possessed person. It's the character of Satan. Satan is very unhinged and mentally unfit, mentally deranged. Just want to let you know that. Okay. A lot of times, by the way, just as an aside, things that we refer to in the secular as mental illnesses, these are spirits that affect people, and you try to treat it and you're not touching it with medication. I just want to give context to that. But anyway, the entity is maintaining this light source. This is an act of terrorism via directed light, and this is occurring while he is arriving under the guise of doing a job for a work order. And it is the work order that terrorist put in while he was group stalking with the LAPD this morning, under the guise of that's a criminal act. That's called malice, okay? And he arrives at the property and is group stalking me, and you are looking at the ongoing crime scene. And let me be clear, as thorough as my documentation is, as comprehensive as my itemization of the criminal system and the demonic behavior is, you are understanding what is going to be the baseline for prosecution. I've shown you what the pattern looks like. So your ability to size up the crime scene, and you're talking about literally a streamline of prosecutions. You've got the unnatural environment. This is a statewide system. There's no exception. And I have provided the evidence to establish that. You will be prosecuted on something analogous to a strict liability basis. Okay, that's the government that's monitoring through every single person in the environment. There's no exception. And if there was an exception, I would speak to that. I would speak to that. And you would also be able to recognize it through the absence of any patterns of conduct. Okay, you would have that. This is never happening. Never happen. Never, never, ever. Okay, they are engaging in the same pattern of conduct and then acting with malice, which is no deviation from the pattern. You are engaging in exhibiting malice while you are still engaging in group stalking. The fact that you want to engage in text messaging me 2 minutes after the entity flies over by helicopter is relevant to the fact that you're engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet, that you're a psychopath who's listening to your exposure, and you are still engaged in the criminal system. That is not the absence of the pattern of conduct. That's called malice and impunity. All right, so I want to be clear. This is what the entity is doing. This is Tiffany Sherez, the same video captured at 5:04, and I want you to witness the people of the state who are engaging in what is self-destructive and futile efforts of retaliation. These are very serious acts of terrorism, and doing so in the presence and in concert with minor children who you will see holding up their cell phones, aiming them at me, focused on me while engineered lights moving across the apartment buildings. And I want to be clear, while I'm holding my phone, I'm not even looking at them. I'm talking, I'm laughing. You can hear my conversation. And let me be clear, the demons know exactly what I'm documenting. This is why they're so preoccupied. This is why they make these unfounded assumptions. This is why they're asking questions, because they know they can't outright say, man, I know we're group stalking you, but and why are you recording? That's what they really want to say. But that's an admission. Let me be clear. While you ask me any questions, it's an admission. While it's audible activity you're monitoring, it's a threat. And you know, and it's also relevant to your mind state, because you know exactly what's going on while you're group stalking. You are just incapable of accepting the fact that you are caught, and you're going to answer for it. You're going to answer for that. Okay? It's directly probative to your deranged mind state. Everything that's coming out of your mouth, I'm going to use it against you. Okay? So the entity is engaging in what is group stalking. And this is the entity Tiffany Sherez, who waits until I walk up toward the sidewalk. I'm just chit-chatting, minding my business. And let me be clear, it is my business to prosecute the state of California, who is terrorizing me. I do it in a manner that is very subtle. I do it in a manner that's professional. I do it in a manner that's very self-contained. And I also do it in a manner where the people of the state are showing their psychosis while they are consumed with me under circumstances which shouldn't even be brought to your attention. You shouldn't even be paying attention to me. Why is it my standing around on the sidewalk while I'm looking down at engineered light on the sidewalk, and I'm looking up at the fake sun, and I'm also capturing a helicopter in the distance? Why are you so concerned about that? Why are your kids aiming their cell phones at me? So this is what I'm saying. This is the entity I'm going to prosecute for that, because all of this, under all circumstances, is the P.O.C. This is just common sense questions with regard to what you're dealing with, mental illness. And that mental illness is a threat to my life. I'm surrounded by mentally unstable, deranged, and obsessed, demon-possessed people who are obsessively group stalking me and cannot handle the precipitating consequences for the choices that they have made in their life. Okay, so this is the light source. I want you to pay attention to the engineer light. The engineer light you'll see in the shade while Tiffany Sherez backs up her vehicle. You can see it right here. This is a light that's appearing, manifesting in the shade. The light source is over the property. This is impossible light activity that's coexisted. This is prosecution right here. But we've got more very subtle engineer light that you will see moving across this apartment building. And you will also see her daughter who is aiming up her phone. This is a communication of a threat. You can see the reflection of the light source through the vehicle. You'll also see it through the back windshield. You'll see it through the front windshield. And engineer light, while she's this isn't driving out to engage in what is exit the parking lot. Let me be clear. She could have reversed the opposite direction, driven right out. She drives out in this, backs up in this direction in order to drive through, make a U-turn, and drive back out, which is demonic pacing that she waited to do until I walked up to this position for more precise crossing a path in the communication of a very intensified threat with her children, who are being prosecuted as terrorists and sex offenders with her, as she has made them a part of the criminal act on behalf and in concert with the state. She did that. She did that. She's going to federal prison for it. Those are her choices. Everything that I pointed out. I am not making these people group stalk me. I am not making them invade my privacy. I am not making them engage in this pattern while engineered like this circus environment. So I'm not making them do any of that. These are all of your decisions. That's also relevant to your mind state, the disconnect from reality. And I want to be clear, while I'm showing the pattern of conduct, while I'm exposing demon possession, this is relevant to what you know about the deranged mindset of those such as Karen Bass, Robert Luna, and Dominic Choi. the same condition while this criminal system is underway, not ignorantly so. They know exactly what's occurring on their watch. And I want to let you know about the deranged mindset that they seek to hide from the public. All right. And I'm referencing the fact that they are demon possessed. So this is Engineer Light. I want you to pay attention. It's very subtle. This is published evidence, so you'll be able to zoom in, perhaps get a better quality because it's subtle light activity, but you will see it moving across the building of, this is building 1800 and building 1802. And you'll also see the light source you'll also see the light source through the windshield of the vehicle while she's pacing. And her group stalking children are holding up their cell phones, and this is supposed to be some speaking in the vernacular, I guess it's supposed to be some gangster move, some retaliation, I'm holding my phone up and recording you. Why? Because you know that I'm recording you. I don't understand where these children's animosity come from. And this is reasonably deduced and analyzed as animosity while the engineered light, while the fake sun, while you're pacing, engaging in the elements of monitoring, and your children are openly engaging in federal stalking, holding up their cell phones. I'm going to prosecute for that. All right. And you are going to be separate from your children while you're employing them in terrorism. It's not different from teaching children how to use weapons and murder people in third world countries. We call ourselves civilized and dignified, like I said, in this capitalistic society on this side of the globe, thinking that we're so different and distinct, and it's not. They're terrorizing American citizens in the U.S., and they like to do it with their children. They like to do it in helicopters. They like to do it while they're bearing badges, all right? Assuming authority while they're criminals. That is an intolerable, unfathomable level of both betrayal by my own government and criminal conduct. The hypocrisy, so despicable, it's nauseating. Okay, so this is the criminal conduct that the entity is engaging in, and I want you to pay attention to this light activity, this act of terrorism that Tiffany Sherez is engaging in with her children.
P.O.C. apartment building. That's a psychopath. That's the same personality defect of those that are.
So, first of all, there's a flash of light that's apparent. There it is right there. There's a flash of light that's the directed light that's moving across the building. This is a demon. And I want you to also pay attention to the child in the back holding up her cell phone. This is a threat to my life. I'm going to prosecute. The threat is not analyzed based on the age of the demon, the age of the third party. And I want to be clear. Demon possession is not limited to the age of majority. This is exhibiting demon possession, both mother and daughters. You're looking at the elements of monitoring. There is no change because this is an underage terrorist. I just want to let you know that. So I'm not going to mince words here. I am speaking to the public safety concern. I am speaking to the necessity of the federal government to interfere in the custody of children that are interfere with the custody of the people of the state who are in custody of children that they are making group stalkers, teaching them this system of terrorism. This is what the LAPD is relying on. They're acting in sync with this. This is monitoring me and doing so and the threat is analyzed accordingly. This is crossing a path. This is federal stalking. This is light activity creation, and you're doing so through the age of a minor. And the threat is based on the fact that the state is facilitating, is enabling, is supporting, is relying, is cooperatively acting with this minor child who's in the presence of an adult group stalking with them. This is why you have the windows down in the back and the windows up in the front, while she's holding up her communication device and engineer lights moving across the building, and that which is not even the sun is still over the same property. All right, this is intentional, in every regard deliberate. Okay, this is an act of terrorism by a group stalker with minor children, and this is the communication of a threat. Let me be clear: the entity knows about all of my commentary about the LAPD, the sheriff's department, about the population, about demon possession. All right, about the ways in which you're going to punish. Planet Fitness knows that I'm specifically that's not my fault. Again, you're dealing with those who are disconnected from reality. Your inability to accept the consequences for what you have chosen to do. That's not the targeted individual's fault. There is a level of terrorism and psychological harm, distress that the ordinary target individual should not have to deal with, because people are sick and criminals. They are mad at you and engage in more criminal conduct. That is absurd. Patently absurd. And this is a state fully engaged in seeking to obstruct justice, seeking to in every way thwart your plans, your employment, wherever it is that you live, everything that you're doing online, with regard to what you pay for, your bank account, anything, any and everything that's going on in your personal life. It literally engaging in what is kidnapping you and calling it a lawful arrest, making up charges about you while they're kidnapping you in the jails. They're still group stalking you in the jails. They're criminally defaming you in facilities. They're still group stalking in the facilities while they're trying to make up mental illnesses on paper, while they're acting with the corrupt court. This is the entity that's harassing and is hostile. That's a threat to your life. Okay, that's the system. That's the so-called civilized, dignified system that's in operation in the U.S. Okay, and that's supposed to be distinct from the more quote unquote barbaric mode of giving children Uzis and them just running in and ambushing people with gunfire. It's not different. It's not lesser. It's not better. It's wicked all the way around. It's wicked all the way around. And this entity engages in sacrificing people, taking people's lives, and then calling it an unsolved mystery, calling it that which is under investigation, calling it suicide. All right, calling it just an inexplicable, unfortunate circumstance, calling it all sorts of things, while you have no idea that they are terrorizing American citizens in this country. And they're doing it through little children who have some unfounded basis of authority. I don't know where this child gets this from, but I'm going to prosecute for it. I'm going to prosecute this by virtue of this stature, this stance. I'm going to prosecute for that. Okay, so the entity is engaging, doing so with her mother, group stalking together, aiming their communication devices. This is the community that's repeatedly accusing me of recording them. By the way, while I'm standing here holding my phone, I'm moving my mouth, talking. A group stalker that doesn't know what I'm talking about, is not monitoring, is not engaged in federal stalking, doesn't know who I'm talking about, doesn't know what I'm talking about, doesn't even think that, assume that I'm talking about them. This is the reality, but this is all that they're engaging in while I'm showing you the hostility and the environment. All right, so this is engineer light that's moving across the apartment building. All right, and you can see it very subtle, very subtle. Again, you can replay this video for your own and dissect that light activity, but it's moving across the apartment building. The light source is directly above. That's not light, that's not sunlight. And Carlo Lopez engaged in the same thing. That's the company that I work for, a third-party company, engaging in state terrorism. Drafting an employee warning notice is literally signing your own certification for serious time in federal prison. And this is the light source that you will see through the windshield of the vehicle. This is, let me be clear, this is the same position where I'm standing next to Kim's vehicle, both at 8:07 in the morning and 3:12 in the afternoon. It's still over the same parking lot. Okay, still over the same parking lot, and that's not even sunlight that's ricocheting to the from the passenger side of the vehicle along the building. This is an act of hostility by a demon, and doing so pursuant to what is federal stalking. Not only are you a group stalker, you're sitting up watching your exposure, and then you engage in acts of retaliation, harassment, terrorism, and then you like to include your children. Let me be clear, you're losing custody of those children. You're literally abusing them on tape. This is what the people that say do, including them in group stalking and federal stalking. This is the light source through the windshield. Okay, remember this is captured at 5:04, ending at 5:10 p.m. Monitoring, group stalking, and terrorizing with the minor children. Pay attention to the light moving across the apartment building. All right, P.O.C. Just to the side, pay attention. This is the light activity above the vehicle. And this child is holding up their phone out the opposite side of the vehicle, communicating a threat while the engineered light is moving across. I'm going to prosecute for that. Okay, engaging. It moves into the hallway. The light activity moves in. Pay attention to the light activity, moving, dragging across the apartment building while you've got your minor child holding up their cell phone to communicate a threat, and also it's an admission that you're engaged in federal stalking. But this unfounded hostility, when I don't even know her children, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because this is sad. This is sad with regard to the implosion of federal group stalking and monitoring, the so-called secret society. And I'm just documenting right now at Alvarado Gardens some welfare collecting, group stalking poor mothers and fathers who are abusing their children while you're group stalking with them. That's abuse. And contributing to the delinquency of minors while you're engaging in a public corruption with children, via children, in concert with children. That's sick. And it's also sexually violent conduct as well, and you're doing that with your kids. That's sick. The entity is doing so while I am, let me be clear, it doesn't matter what neighborhood, what's the socioeconomic class or level of that venue. The environment follows where I go. So you need to understand that this criminal system is occurring amongst those who would like to consider themselves above some Section 8 collecting third party, and they're not. They're not. There's no difference in race. There's no difference in class. There's no difference in how much money you make at your third party group stalking company. Okay? Just want to let you know there are a lot of celebrities that live in Los Angeles, politicians, pastors, and preachers. I'm just speaking to, you need to get out of your mind any exceptions. I'm speaking to what the entire state is engaging in. The entire state. Okay, and so this is speaking to, again, what I document while this third party drives out of the parking lot, and that's a communication of a threat, both facially and in substance. And this is the light source that you can see through the windshield of a vehicle parked in the parking lot. Remember, I'm standing here in front of Marie Ennis's parking spot in the morning, and the light source is still over me. As you can see through the windshield of that vehicle, there's so many angles of analysis here. So nonetheless, I start this video. This is engineer light that's appearing at a downward trajectory, and engineer light that's appearing at an upward trajectory. And I started this video with regard to what you're looking at, the maintenance of a light source, not the sun. And it's also not the sun while I am remaining at the Chino Branch Library on this day. In 2022, I am at the Chino Branch, and the entity is engaged in what is criminal summoning. And so with regard to criminal summoning, the light source is in the same position it was at 5:48 p.m. And in addition to that, this is the engineer light that's appearing on the floor and remaining on the ceiling. This is the engineer light that's dynamic while Tiffany Sherez is crossing path. While Carla Lopez is crossing path, it's appearing on the asphalt. It's not sunlight. This is stalking evidence through what is engineer light that's surrounding at all times. You're looking at the different methods of engineer light that I've shown you. A shadow appearing in the shade. You're looking at multiple shadows, light appearing above my head and also down below. And the blinds are closed, by the way. And you're looking at this at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, appearing on different walls. I've documented all this. Appearing and disappearing, flashing of light as though there's a photo shoot going on inside of my apartment. Not the case. This is the presence of the demonic. It's evidence of what is demon possession while a crime is underway, and it's federal group stalking and monitoring, and it's a government's act. It is exposing public corruption. And so what I'm showing is the maintenance of a light source that is over me while I am in Chino, California today in 2022. And the entity is maintaining that light source over that Chino Branch Library, which is not sharing any environment. In other words, the light source that's in alignment with me in Chino on this day at the same time, 5:48, the light source hasn't moved. It's in the same position, which I document every day. It's not any light source that's going to be seen in Chino, California. It's remained present, rising and setting. Just like I showed you as I'm standing at that parking lot documenting using U Kim's vehicle as a nothing other than a position to illustrate what is stalking with the fake sun, what it looks like. And that's the fake sun going from this side of my person to setting on this side of my person, which is the general reference from the east to the opposite side of my person on the west in the evening. Hence outside of my bedroom window inside of the same apartment. And it's not in Chino, it's right here. You can see through the windshields of the vehicles parked at this property. And this is also where the entity is stalking in helicopters, just like you see the Los Angeles Police Department doing on an ongoing basis, pursuant also to real-time knowledge of what it is that I'm documenting on my phone, which is the full exercise of one's constitutional and human rights. And just a matter of common sense, by the way, you are going to expose terrorism that you're subject to because we are supposedly free. I know that I'm free, regardless of whether this government wants to oppress me or not. I'm going to enforce my constitutional rights, and that's what you're witnessing. And showing the actual barbaric people that make up the government and this population as you're looking at animalistic conduct. This is outright just ongoing impunity. And you can see the light source to the side of the vehicle, the driver's side of the vehicle. There's no sharing any light source, no sharing of a sun in Chino, California. And the LAPD are the same entity that is the Chino PD. This is the state that's engaged in terrorism. And while you expose this terrorism in the U.S. are actually uncivilized and not dignified with regard to this corruption that I'm exposing and the necessity of removing the demon possessed that are currently occupying spaces to be held by those who will not serve Satan. In other words, give way to this level of or any level of public corruption, criminal conduct, literally holding hands with not only children but American citizens, and direct contravention of the oath that you take of a basic level of humanity and concern for another's rights, all right, and well-being of another, and also the Constitution, like you're supposed to be upholding these things. And I'm just speaking and this is common sense, okay? This is not rocket science, okay, at all, okay? They're just basic indecent. It's just basic indecency, and it is It's that which is characteristic of animals. They're animals. Okay, so this light source that you're seeing in alignment to me is relevant to what is stalking in a parking lot. And invasion of privacy in a parking lot. And Maria Mercado is group stalking while living with minor children. And she's just engaging in what all the people that say are engaging in. So now what we're going to look at, because this light source is in the same position that it was at, was I started this video at 5:48 p.m. And I want you to see the pattern of conduct that the LAPD are knowingly repeating. And that is group stalking with the people who engage in criminal acts of obstruction of justice. This is what speaker companies engaged in, while they are fully aware of the fact that you are enforcing your rights and exposing their criminal conduct, which is revealing the mental illness, not only because you're a criminal you're a criminal group stalking, but not only because you are group stalking, which is psychotic. The pattern of conduct is very disturbing. Okay, it's even more disturbing. It's demonic, and also the pattern to obstruct justice is also speaking to the mental state, the mentally deranged state of that entity that seeks to obstruct justice and continue and wanting to try to silence and off someone and continue to engage in it. All right, that's the reality of what's being exposed, and you have the inability to mimic and mirror that same pattern of conduct ignorantly. And I'm speaking to the removal of Robert Luna, speaking to the removal of people such as Karen Bass, speaking to the removal of people such as Dominic Choi. All right. This is the light source. This is a specific environment that you're seeing above at the same time while the entity is stalking in a helicopter. This is exactly what the LAPD are established on a daily basis. They continue to establish that they're terrorists and that they're Satan-serving demons who are waiting to be removed on the world scene for all to witness this commentary. And they did it to themselves. They did not, and this is what the federal judge is going to give me justice is going to recall. While I had the presence of mind to legally analyze it step by step, let me be clear. They have from the outset exhibited no desire to ever stop engaging in this criminal conduct that is on its face inappropriate, illegal, okay? And at the very base, but we've gone well beyond that, at the very base, probable cause for the federal government to investigate what you're doing. And they have shown at every step of the way an absolute disregard for what are their obligations as a law enforcement agency in the state of California by continuously engaging in what is harassment at the bare minimum, stalking in helicopters. And it is stalking. You know the definition of stalking. You're following and you're engaged in surveillance, which is called remaining. And you're doing so even more specifically. It's not just random over everybody. No, it's actually in a very specific environment, a type of environment that the government's relying that you never notice. And it's occurring amongst what is engineered light, a very weird light activity. And you're always present in helicopters. You're stalking and you're a weird freak stalker at that. Okay, to put it in layman's terms. And the federal judge is going to give justice, is going to recognize the impunity that is, and the animalistic criminal behavior exhibited, which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct by these terrorist organizations. Okay, these demons, in other words, they do not decrease, they increase the aggression and the violence and the criminal conduct outside of the boundaries of the obligations of the character of a law enforcement agency or a law enforcement officer or a chief of police. Okay, so that's nothing ignorantly abided by. You are knowingly and intentionally abiding by California's pattern of conduct. And so this is what Chino Police is engaging in.
We want to show you what is the light source that remains here, and I've already shown you what is the directed light that's being aimed inside of the venue. The officers that are present, I want to get them, actually, let me get their license plate first. The entity sounding helicopter activity as I walk out. License 5, this is vehicle 593. License 1560980, 1560980. And there's the entity stalking by helicopter. Okay, Murillo is going to federal prison. This is the pattern.
This is the specific environment where in the specific environment, the demon possessed in California, the government engages in terrorism specifically because of the resources that California has. They have helicopters at their disposal to engage in terrorism. That's how these demons in California do it. And name for some corner in Mississippi. Okay, I'm pointing out the criminal pattern of conduct in California. They may or may not have access to helicopters in Mississippi. Nonetheless, I'm letting you know this is the pattern. And you are engaging in the elements of monitoring, and it is very likely, I want to be clear, no matter what corner that they're in, the entity is engaged in surveillance in the sky space as well. So there is a pattern of conduct. there is an obsessive endeavor to maintain surrounding all around you on the ground and in the airspace. So they are group stalking no matter where it's at. They're group stalking in the airspace. And I want to show you what's impossible to be the case, that you would have this specific environment. Not only is this not the natural environment in Los Angeles, this is not the natural environment in Chino. You also know that on its face, because what's happening in Chino at the same time is not possibly going to be seen through my living room window. You already know on its face, and you're looking at the behavior of the entity that is in this specific environment. They engage in terrorism. They engage in using helicopters in particular. That is the specific method of terrorism by the Chino police and the Los Angeles police and the Ontario police, which I will remind you about, where the specific environment for me at the same time, none of which are capable of being seen in alignment with me in this manner. After I'm also showing you what is a sunrise in the morning, meaning how can the sun ever be in Chino like you see above when it's rising and setting here in Los Angeles? It's not the natural environment. Probable cause. And you've got the ongoing pattern of helicopter activity, harassing with helicopter, including by audible activity. When you're disrupting quiet enjoyment, when you're flying over my office all day long, when you're on the property, there's a helicopter, that's harassment, including by a helicopter. Yes, you are capable of engaging in harassment by helicopter. The demons have established it, while all I did was sit up with a camera and document it. Okay, and the only way that it's capable of going on without being noticed, the people of the state don't complain about it, they don't mention it, because they're group stalking with them. Okay, this is how California demons do it. All right, so this is the entity that's engaging in this criminal system together. This is why it's not being in court. All right, because they're engaging in it together. This is how the system, how they group stalk in California. They use helicopters. Nobody's going to complain about the way in which you engage in federal group stalking. No, nobody's going to utter a word about the fact that they flew over apartment building 1802 for 20 minutes at morning. They're group stalking with the LAPD. Okay, the entity is doing so on an ongoing basis, as I've captured, and this is Chino police in the specific environment that's not capable of being in alignment with my bedroom window in the evening. This is P.O.C. in Chino, California.
Conduct, that's the fake sun. Tara is going to federal, and there's the entity stalking by helicopter. Okay, Murillo is going to federal prison. This is the pattern of conduct. That's the fake sun. Tara are inside. I want you to see this is Chino Branch Library. That's the pattern of conduct underway while they're present pursuant to what is the P.O.C. of criminal monitoring, and doing so while they're waging what are, again, exaggerated. Oh, here you go. She's going to federal prison. Yeah. I would advise you to leave now. I'm outside. I need to document who's here. So this is Murillo and Ramirez. Okay, this is P.O.C. Stalk. The entity's flying over by helicopter. And this is the light source right over here. Those are demons exercising fictitious authority. They're going to federal prison. That's P.O.C. The entity is stalking by helicopter, and the people of the and this is what an entity does when it's fearful of what you're revealing about it. She's going to federal prison. And so is Tara. That's a fat minion with directed light. Citing that, directed light was appearing on that demon's face. All right, her and Jason. This is vehicle 593. And this is vehicle 592, license 15917. I can't see that license plate. 15917.
I want you to see that light source hovering it right there over my head at that police vehicle. It's not going to be seen through any windshields parked at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, California. And it's certainly not creating any sunlight. In my sunlight, this isn't the product of sunlight that creates multiple shadows and light above your head and also moving across my carpet. This isn't even sunlight, but it's also, again, logical. This isn't going to be the creation of any sort of light activity from a sun that's over the in Chino, California. This is the pattern of conduct, and you're looking at the people of the state at group stalking in the same way you see here. The people of the state were group stalking when they engaged in criminal summoning, and it's the grounds of federal prison. It's a criminal act of obstruction of justice. It is incredibly malicious while you are terrorizing an American citizen. You will not, under any circumstances, to what is seeking to obstruct justice, that is oppress, engage in any physical violence, engage in to the personal property of the targeted individual, well, personal or real property of the target, any property, circumstances, exercise fictitious authority as the government, that's group stalking, any of this that is documented, you're going to federal prison for it, period. Over my head, in front of this vehicle, while you're looking at this demon pacing around in the parking lot. This demon's walking, she's zigzagging in the parking lot. This is a demon that's going psychotic because the spirit of Satan is operating on her. Satan is very hostile. same time very fearful. It's a psychotic spirit that's on people. And this is what causes them to go on rampages, them to hurt innocent people. This is what causes them to climb in helicopters and wear diapers and stalk someone for 24 hours a day, fly in circles for 47 minutes. That spirit of Satan, but is aware of the fact that it's being exposed and it's a public safety concern. This is the specific environment.
50. This is P.O.C. This is fictitious exercise of the law. They are crossing path. They are under what is the sun is not anywhere near what is the Motel 6 in Ontario, California.
Near or capable of being seen through or at any time possibly able to be over any territory, well, it's remaining over Alvarado Gardens for the duration of the day. When you're seeing people like Tiffany Sherez driving under it with her children, group stalking me, okay? While it's remaining over the same apartment complex and co-workers of possessed in the workplace engaging in group stalking me at one address. Okay, that's juxtaposing the crime scenes and prosecuting the state for engaging in the identical pattern of conduct, which Dominic Choi knows all about. Okay, so this is the Light Source and Chino Police Department exhibiting the same pattern. They are engaging in terrorism.
Crossing path and monitoring with the people of the state. Exercise of fictitious authority. This is P.O.C. I'm going to take. I'm in the parking lot.
I just want
Are you going to leave? You're monitoring right now, right?
I am going to leave, actually.
Oh, okay. This is P.O.C.
All right.
They're under what is the Light Source? This is P.O.C. 1560988. Directed light while that demon opens the door. She's monitoring. You're going to federal prison. You're so pathetic, Satan. This is
Pay attention to as she closes the door. Pay attention to the psychopath that is smiling. Remember the demon that's driving the blue SUV, the Explorer this morning, who waves hi to me while the fake sun is over me, while the demons of LAPD are stalking in helicopter and at the same time with him, while he is waving hi and smiling, and then he crosses path with engineer light moving across this apartment building this morning. I'm at the same apartment complex, by the way, and I'm showing you what is the evidence of the P.O.C. While I'm reminding you about what was documented on the same day at the same time, that's a conclusive prosecution. So nonetheless, this is speaking to the psychopaths that are smiling. It doesn't matter what is the substance, in other words, about what they're talking about. Contrary to what a demon-possessed and corrupt government and a demon-possessed group stalker, a delusional psychopath may think, oh, I was nice to the target individual. I came and brought her muffins and I told her how pretty she looked today. It's audible activity in relevant position. And by the way, Satan that is highly deceptive and entirely malicious to a psychotic degree will very much smile in your face, even give you a hug to monitor you. This is how you have people who you think are your friends, who are your family, who are group stalking you, sacrificing you, handing you right over to the hands of the state. Okay? They are the most potent form of the enemy. While the government is using them, I want to be clear, while Satan is using them. So this is the P.O.C. while I am documenting, and I just want to make sure I note the state that's threatening my life while smiling. That's relevant to psychological torment, psychological torture. That's a part of the P.O.C. Very deliberate.
See 1591750. This is P.O.C. This is demonic activity.
And I want to make sure that you pay attention. I'll pay attention to that light activity while a demon closes the door in the shade. This is the light activity that you're seeing on my ceiling. It's called engineered light. It's not sunlight. Okay, it's called sunlight. This is what's occurring while she's closing her door in the shade. That's also an act of hostility because I called her out by name. That's the spirit of Satan on her. And that's why I'm not going to mince words. Okay, I will call Satan out in a second. I will not hesitate. And that is an act of hostility by a demon-possessed person who is mad. You're hostile because I recognize what's going on in the spirit. And I'm also prosecuting you for your criminal conduct that you sought to engage in secretly and to such a degree that no one would even believe me. That's the pattern. That's the malice of the pattern of conduct. That's what's relevant with regard to the presence of engineered light. Let me be clear. Flipping that malice on its head, you're diagnosing mental illness of the entity. You are prosecuting for an unfathomable level of malice exhibited by government engaging in public corruption. You're flipping that malice on its head, and you're going to prosecute very intensely for that. And that's relevant. All of that is relevant to the criminal conduct via the directed light conduct. This is what Tiffany Sherez is doing while she's driving by the apartment building. This is what Carla Lopez is doing while he's driving on the asphalt while I'm at the same property where I'm present this morning, where the sunrise is present, while I'm reporting to the job at 8 o'clock and the light source is still over me at that same address. All of those facts No one has forgotten that. So the entity is
And
engaging
also
in
not sunlight. That's a demon.
the communication of a threat. It's already a threat. Remember, you're analyzing everything about the stalker. The stalker is wearing a badge. The stalker is arriving in a police vehicle. The stalker is bearing weapons. The stalker is exercising authority that it does not have while it is stalking you. The stalker is arriving pursuant to some manufacturing of facts such that would establish a legal basis to forcibly remove you. That's a threat to engage in kidnapping. Understand that. For engaging in what is a threat to engage in kidnapping, you're going to federal prison. All of this is a threat. Okay? Satan that's wearing badges and bearing weapons. This is why you are removing them from law enforcement. Demon possession is very much readily identifiable, as I've shown you the specific environment. I've shown you the behavioral pattern. I've shown you the malice. And I've also shown you the demented mind state. And just as a matter of good public policy and what is legally relevant, demon possessed are disqualified. You are far removed, going to be removed from law enforcement. Satan is not welcome in law enforcement in the U.S. Okay, this is how you are cleansing the government. This is how you're cleansing the population as well. And by cleansing, I mean you can easily remove the population that aren't even natural born citizens, and that is justice. It is a particular form of harm while betrayal while you are witnessing what is entirely un-American conduct that I'm subject to, criminal conduct by government, and you're doing it with people that that have been granted the privilege to be here. And group stalking, it's unconstitutional, and it's unconstitutional conduct by the very government through those who are not even natural born citizens, all right, who promise to abide by and respect the constitutional rights and the Constitution itself. Yes, deport them. Okay, absolutely. And this is justice, and that's bare minimum. Okay, it is the quintessence, like I like to say, the quintessence of unworthiness to be here. And it will do wonders for the economy, by the way. So anyway, this is the light source that's over me, and you're looking at in alignment with my bedroom window.
Both of them. They're going to federal prison, stalking by helicopter. This is called criminal summoning. Ontario Police, Fontana.
And the entity is doing so, I want to be clear, at the same time at 5:48 p.m. The entity is maintaining a light source. I am again at the Ontario, the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where I have documented, I'm waking up here, sleeping outside, and the entities group stalking on a daily, nightly basis everywhere that I'm going, which is the definition of stalking. And it's not just ordinary stalking because it's the state, but it's also not they're doing it in the demonic environment, in the specific environment. And in the specific environment, there is no location where I'm getting up in the morning. This is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, and the entity is stalking in a helicopter in the specific environment. By the way, this is the same demon-possessed entity that engaged in the documented act of kidnapping entity pursuant to criminal summoning, just like Chino Branch, the same entity. Okay, these are criminal entity engaged in kidnapping on June 17, 2022. All right, engaged in criminal defamation, engaged in what is the pattern of conduct while they kept me inside of a facility where the entity sought to institutions code, and they are the ones exhibiting mental illness. I mean, it does not get any to the level of malice and hypocrisy. And I want to be clear again, that's getting just as an aside, psychopath that will call you a sex offender when they are in fact the sex offender. They will call you the stalker when they are in fact. They will call you the weirdo when they are in fact the weirdo. And all they do is engage in name calling and manipulation and manufacturing of information. And you can't even manufacture facts. You can come up with alternative facts, as they like to say. But that's an oxymoron. They come up with information, and the entity engages in this gang conduct because a lot of them say it. All the demons scream it out loud, so it's true. That's how the federal group stalking and monitoring works. But that's in their alternate universe. Not working. I'm going to prosecute you for everything that the entity does. They're not getting away with anything. All right. So this is the entity and this is the light source that's remaining in alignment while I'm at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at 5:48. There's no sun that's going to be in alignment with my and you know that because you're looking at it. It's not over the Ontario Museum in some way that I'm misperceiving the light source. It's actually moving, but it just looks like it's not, and it looks the same over everyone everywhere. No, when was parked at the property. Which if that's the sun at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, you're not seeing it through the windshields parked at the same property where the sunrise was. Common sense. No, there's no sun that's going to be over the Ontario Museum of History while I'm looking at it through the windows of the Planet Fitness off of Washington and Central. I went to the gym today. When I don't, it's through my living room window, and the two are not happening at the same time. Nor is that the sun that will be present 11 hours later. That's called surrounding with irreducible and insurmountable evidence exposing your psychotic and life-threatening condition which creates a public safety concern and your criminal activity. All right, so this is the light source and the stalking by helicopter in the specific environment that is here, and you have what is the unmistakable pattern and not ignorance of Dominic Cho, Robert Luna, or Karen Bass for that matter, while the same identical pattern of conduct remains underway by the government and by the state.
Circles, especially as I capture the fake sun in the same position that I'm capturing in the morning. The entity gets really frustrated as I document that damning evidence. I want to be clear, this is the criminal system that this demon and today at 10:19 in the morning, while he's engaging in what is that that nonchalant attitude while he's terrorizing somebody else. That's directly relevant while he's engaging in this terrorizing conduct, wearing a police uniform, engaging in this very criminal conduct. This is P.O.C. All of the entities represented by that demon wearing that Ontario police uniform, while the people of the state again capture still images. They're group stalking with children in tow, engaging in terrorism with children under the fake sun as I captured in still images. So let me show you in video. They are group stalking. The helicopter, the fake sun.
All right, so the entity is indeed maintaining a light source. This is the same museum where I'm present capturing.
Show you in video. They are group stalking. The helicopter, the fake.
This is the museum that I have on many occasions waking up in. At the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, which I heavily reference while I'm capturing this light source that's in alignment to my bedroom window. And like I said, I'm not coming from two different states. This light source all day long. I am in the same apartment where I'm showing the sunrise, which you can see through the window. Remember this morning during the 6 o'clock hour, the light source was seen through the window of this building where you're looking at engineer light on this same building. That was during the 6 o'clock hour, 6 in the morning, and the light source you were able to see on this through the window of this building, this apartment building, as I was driving into the entrance of this gate. And through the window that was right next to me, you could see the light source. That's a method of stalking with the light source, by the way, by seeing the reflection of that light source. It's very demonic. And you saw the engineered light, the shape of the windows on that brick wall. And at the same property, I'm looking at the light source itself. And it is currently 6:54 a.m. That's 12 hours. That's the pattern of conduct. Maintaining this light source and stalking under a light source that is remaining at the same address, and also what's over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts is not seen through my living room window, and it is certainly not creating any light activity on my ceiling, creating multiple shadows on the floor. And as I move around, the engineered light that's hitting my mirror is moving across the carpet at a downward trajectory my head, and also aiming to, as I've shown you while the blinds are closed, the pattern of these closed magnify. And they show up on the wall. This is all manner of what is demonic, and it has nothing to do with the sun, because I'm showing methods of stalking with engineered light. While this light source is outside of the living room window, this light activity is on my ceiling. It has nothing to do with the light source. There are distinct methods of stalking with an engineered environment, and this light source impossible that it would be at the Ontario Museum at 5:48 p.m. and over me at the Chino Branch Library in the same manner, hovering over me, and also seen through my bedroom window. All of these are addresses, by the way, where I'm present in the morning, and that is necessarily stationary maintenance of a light source that is not the sun, and it is to the exclusion of every other location. Okay, so that is the state's P.O.C. Where the entity is stalking in the specific environment, the entity is stalking in helicopters. It is a statewide system. It is currently 6:55 p.m. and this is P.O.C.